Welcome to the second webinar for the annual Cronin Finalist Webinar Series. Each year, NASPO hosts the Cronin Awards for Procurement Excellence, honoring innovation and excellence in state procurement. The awards program seeks to recognize outstanding procurement initiatives and serves as a means to disseminate and to encourage adoption of breakthrough initiatives by other states. Submission for the awards are scored based on 4 important criteria: innovation, transferability, service improvement, and cost reduction. By excelling these key areas, Cronin awardees and finalists help to create opportunities for improving the procurement function nationwide. This webinar series is an important part of sharing information and ideas for professionals across the country, and I thank you all for joining us today. Just a couple of reminders before we get started. This webinar is being recorded and will be made available on NASPO's website and YouTube channel in the next couple of days. Because we are recording, I have muted everyone's phone lines. We will have a question and answer time at the end of this webinar. If you have any questions you would like to ask at that time, you can either unmute your phone by dialing *6, or you can type your question in the chat box and I will be happy to ask the presenters for you. For those of you that would like to receive UPPCC certification for attending this webinar, please email me, Kevin Miner, at the conclusion of this webinar, and I will send you your certificate. My email address is on screen. That's kminer@naspo.org. Now I would like to introduce our speaker for today, Nicole Acosta. Nicole is a category manager for the Division of State Purchasing in the state of Florida. She will be presenting their finalist submission on concierge service for contract education. Nicole, I'll turn it over to you.
So, good afternoon, everyone. Kevin, can you hear me?
I'm clear.
Perfect. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to attend this webinar. Like Kevin said, I'm Nicole Acosta, a category manager here at the Bureau of IT and Special Projects. And I have the privilege of representing today the great state of Florida. I work for the Department of Management Services under the direction of the lovely Miss Rosalind Ingram. I want to congratulate, first off, all of those Cronin winners that might be on the phone. It's truly an honor to be among those top 5. Also joining me today in the room is Stephanie Weiland from the Department of Management Services. She is a member of our concierge team here at DMS and an associate category manager in the Bureau of IT and Special Projects. Stephanie will be driving our presentation, as I like to say. And I am going to try and calm my nerves. I definitely can get up in front of a class of people and speak, but for some reason a webinar to me is a little intimidating. So if you'll just hang with us, and hopefully we'll make this educational and exciting at the same time. So first off, our agenda today will cover our background on our Cronin submission, the implementation of our program, and then, of course, the training and education piece that support our team's success. We also want to highlight some of the federal recognition we received as well for our program. And as you can see, the picture at the bottom, this was from one of our very first trainings we held for our state agencies when we talk about the contract and education piece. So as you can see, I'm not lying. I definitely can teach in front of a big group. But a webinar is a little different, so we just wanted to highlight one of our very first trainings. So we'll get into the background. I think it's fitting first to start off with just a little of the history. If you're like me, when you hear the term concierge, I automatically think a 5-star hotel, warm towels being brought to my room, extra pillows, and of course, unlimited access to asking any question my heart so desires and getting an answer. So when this concept of a concierge team for work arose, I thought, surely I can't warm towels and fluff pillows on state time. I knew contracts and procurement. So as we began to conceptualize what concierge meant, Florida was able to develop a concierge service model for contract education on 2 of our federal GSA contracts. Back in the spring of 2016, during the analysis of a reprocurement of an existing state term contract, state purchasing began examining Schedule 70, which for those of you who are not as familiar with GSA, Schedule 70 houses all of the IT type equipment, hardware, software, cloud solutions, and Schedule 84, which houses most of the law enforcement, and as an alternate contract source. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with Florida practices, but a state term contract here is considered mandatory use. But an alternate contract source is exactly what it says. It is an alternate. It is another option for our state agencies to use. We have always had Schedule 70 and Schedule 84 as part of our alternate contract source. We just never really taught it. So it was determined that the state could use GSA Schedule 70 and 84 much more than we currently use, but we knew we were going to have to do a lot of outreach and education for not only our agencies, but also our vendor community to ensure that there's usage. The model would include scenario-based learning, formal tutorials, enhanced customer service, and measurable results. So while we were here at the state level, really far from a five-star hotel, we realized that a concierge basically was there to just guide and educate and just really be available to help a person or a customer navigate unfamiliar territory. And of course, in our case, it was unfamiliar usage of challenging contracts. So now that you have a little of the background, let's look at what the implementation looked like to develop this concierge model. So first, we took a step back and decided we definitely needed to look at the process a vendor would have to take to get on GSA. In order to educate vendors, we ourselves really needed a roadmap from start to finish of what that process would look like for those vendors trying to obtain a GSA schedule. So we'll definitely take you later in the presentation to what that roadmap looked like when we go live to our website. Okay. Second, we reached out to our state GSA representative from the Panhandle, Todd Cook, to discuss a partnership in which we could educate not only our state agencies on the use of the GSA contracts, but also our vendor community. Mr. Cook was very receptive to a collaborative effort for training here in Tallahassee. And Todd drives every quarter from Pensacola to Tallahassee to train our state agencies and our vendors. We also have some folks from the Atlanta GSA office who fly in every quarter to also help with the training as well. Next, we knew that if we were going to create a roadmap and training opportunities, we definitely needed somewhere to store all of our relevant information. So we created a website specific for GSA usage for our state partners and our vendors. And like I said, we'll take you live to that a little later in our presentation so that you could see what that looks like. Since the concierge was focused on helping customers, we knew that we needed additional staff that were exceptional at providing support to those calling in or emailing. And we knew we needed to create a team of customer service-driven individuals that knew the contracts and that were eager to educate our vendors and our state partners. The concierge team focuses on supplying our agencies with up-to-date contract guidance, and this helps with cost savings. It's keeping our users efficient, and it also ensures high volume usage of those contracts. By creating a concierge service, Florida revolutionized the traditional contract support that public procurement and contracting officers normally provide to customers. I can definitely attest to the fact that this concierge team is very customer driven, whether it be our vendors or our state agencies. We make sure that an email nor a phone call go unanswered. The team strives to return calls and emails within 24 hours. We also continuously log our calls and our emails for those that might need extra help with training or ones that we know we just really need to help a little extra with their calls and their emails. So the last piece to our implementation success was creating live face-to-face trainings with all the major players and making sure that the trainings were focused, one, for our state agencies, but also for the vendor community. And I keep highlighting that because I think the emphasis is extremely important, that education was not only to our state agencies, but also our vendors. We weren't just training one side, we were training both. The trainings are definitely, I would say, the best fun piece for us, the concierge team, because we get to interact with our state partners and we get to put a face to the name and make that experience a lot more personal. We also get to meet our vendors and really help build a reputation for our agency on education, and I think that that is extremely important. So as you can see on the slide, now is the time that we are going to go live to our GSA website. As you can see, this is our front main page to the Department of Management Services. We actually teach this step by step in our class. So you would go under Purchasing Agent and you would select State Contracts and Agreements. You'll see that this is our main page for any of our state contracts and agreements. We have it broken out by state term contracts, alternate contract sources, and we thought it was extremely important to take the GSA part out of the alternate contract source and give it its own box, just so it is a clear picture when someone comes to try to find GSA, where they can go. So Stephanie's gonna, she showed you the box and now she's gonna click on it. And guys, we already have these up. We're not actually clicking on them because we are only as good as our technology. We wanted to make sure that we could get all this in and show you guys. So as you can see, that first little blurb there on the page talks about what Schedule 70 is and what Schedule 84 is. And then we've also got two tabs broken out. We've got our customer tab and our vendor tab because we definitely have made sure that whatever information we're teaching our customers might not be relevant to our vendors. So we definitely wanted to make sure to keep those separate. As you can see at the bottom, we also have, if anyone needs GSA assistance, phone number they can call, and then you can see a specific email address just for that service for GSA. So Stephanie will click on the vendor tab. We'll go there first. As you can see, the first section we set up was steps to register to do business with Florida. Everything is hyperlinked so that we never expect our vendor to go hunt and find anything. It is hyperlinked to exactly what we're needing them to do. I definitely think sometimes our vendors get a little frustrated if we bury our information. So as long as it's out here for everyone, then it's a lot easier to find as well. The hyperlink under training materials, how to get on a GSA schedule, that's a slide that we actually teach in our vendor class. So once class is over and maybe they need a little extra help, it's out here on this website, easily accessible for them. Then underneath, you've got steps 1 through 7. All of these are general requirements in order to get on a GSA schedule and get your application submitted. So this is kind of like, this is our roadmap. This is how we determined all of the different, it takes approximately 30 days to get a DUNS number. So we've laid out how long it's going to take, and we've hyperlinked them to those sources. Next, you'll see we've got a fast lane section. I will talk about that a little more in the presentation as well. But as you can see, there is a Florida-specific inbox. So when an IT vendor goes to submit a GSA schedule award, they're going to submit to the Florida inbox their e-offer ID, their vendor name, and their DUNS number. And that allows us here at Florida to track and make sure that those 45 days that are promised are being reached. Next, we've got steps to obtain a GSA schedule. Number 1, download and read Schedule 70 and 84. Those are the actual solicitation package. The actual site for GSA can be a little cumbersome. So if you actually click on 70 or 84, it takes you directly to that award. There is no hunting or searching or looking for that solicitation. It's hyperlinked right here. Then we also have just picked out some key elements that the offer should include for GSA. And that's our vendor section. Next, we'll go to our customer section. Now this section is geared towards our state agencies. We go through this page step by step in our trainings. Schedule 70 is broken out for all of our IT. Schedule 84 is for more of those law enforcement type needs. You can see at the bottom we've got training and additional resources. The Utilizing GSA for Procurement's PowerPoint and all of those PowerPoints underneath, we actually teach in the class. We teach an in-depth class about eLibrary. We teach an in-depth class about eBuy and Advantage, so that not only can they utilize GSA, but they can navigate that site. We also have hyperlinks to eLibrary and eBuy, which are the main links that our state agency partners use, and we teach them when they're trying to obtain quotes. As you can see, we also have the email listed again. I don't think you can ever have the email or your phone number out there enough for people to reach you. We'll go up to the top and click on Schedule 70. It brings us to another page. This is actually a informational page for our state agencies. The very first document is our GSA 70 instructions document, and we'll go over that a little more in our presentation and show you what that document looks like. But anytime our state agencies have questions, or maybe they finish training and we've just thrown a bunch of information at them and they need additional help, this is where they would go. And then again, we've got our GSA number, our concierge team number, and our email address. And then we have just a brief description and the benefits of using GSA 70. Schedule 84 is set up the same exact way. Okay, next we'll go on. Establishing a concierge service for our contract or catalog of contracts we think can easily be accomplished by other states. If you need help, Florida is always here to help. The federal government has highlighted Florida's concierge services model in a publication, and we'll be using the Florida model to help educate and streamline GSA usage in other governmental entities. The concierge service model includes the following objectives. So one, we definitely want to ensure an increase in contract utilization. I mean, that's the whole point of a contract education and outreach team. And we'll show you on the next slide just how much that contract and education can pay off. The second, we definitely want to increase customer service. Sometimes at the state, we might not have the best reputation for answering and being available, so we definitely wanted to change that model. Next, we reduce the state agency overhead and boost the agency productivity. Sometimes when we're really overworked and maybe we've got a really high political solicitation, we could be more productive knowing that that competitive part is done. We just have got to get together the scope, request the quotes through the federal eBuy system, and then we can begin our project and make sure that our project is the best project that we could be putting out. And then lastly, continuous improvement. So from our very first training to our last past training, we have definitely improved. We've been able to filter those questions that maybe weren't so clear, and just continuous improvement on helping our customers and also helping our agencies. So state purchasing concierge service goes above and beyond by providing the following. We definitely help our vendors follow defined steps to complete the process to obtain a GSA contract. One of the best examples I like to give of this is we had a vendor who showed up to one of our very first vendor trainings, and he didn't know what GSA was, he didn't know how to get on it, he didn't know why the state was starting to use it, even though we had always had these contracts as an alternate contract source. So we explained it to him. I stayed after training and we talked, and then he called us later on and really, needed help on where to go, how to even start. And so we roadmapped that for him and showed him what that looked like. And we built a reputation together, but he definitely is excited to be partners with the state now. He has gotten a federal GSA Schedule 70 contract within 45 days of submission. So he's proved that it can happen. He also now has, not only able to do business with the state, but now he can do it federally as well. So also we hand walk our agencies through the steps to obtain GSA quotes. After the training, if we have agencies who maybe were a little timid to ask questions in the training, or the training can have a lot of information at once, so maybe they just wanted some one-on-one time, we do offer at the end of our trainings to come to those individual agencies and give a training. Usually 2 members of the concierge staff go, and if they have a quote they want to look up, or they have a scope of work they want to put into eBuy, we go to their agency or they come to ours and we sit them down and we walk them through that process. So we also provide on-site GSA contract training at state agencies. We provide large training forums on GSA tools for utilization. Like I said, we've been doing our trainings roughly quarterly now. And we also answer any GSA specific questions. Like I said earlier, we have a specific GSA inbox, and we are constantly checking that for questions that are coming in, and we're making sure that after training, I have this giant email that goes out to the vendors and our state agencies with all the direct links, any helpful hints, the contact information for our GSA representative, the small business representative. So I definitely make sure that if they don't have the access to the information, then they're not going to learn it. So making sure that they have that information. So once the website was complete, the team made the correct contacts, and we developed a training program in which we brought state agency personnel in to train on how to use the alternate contract sources successfully. To date, our concierge team has trained over 200 personnel, and that's from 26 different Florida state agencies. So our Florida Concierge Service helps to obtain increased productivities at those agencies by streamlining information, teaching them about the correct tools available and how to use them, which we believe will achieve an immense return on investment for those services. Agencies are now able to easily use the GSA contract for high-dollar purchases instead of issuing their own competitive solicitation. I also want to go live now to our instruction sheet. I teach in our class that our instruction sheet is basically the Bible for state agencies. If you're going to use GSA, this would be the instruction sheet to know. It tells you how to use the alternate contract source, what you can purchase from each schedule, procurement from the GSA Schedule 70, the different threshold requirements and quote requirements. We also teach big time in our class. If it doesn't have that cooperative purchasing icon, you can't use it. So those are just little things that maybe they wouldn't know navigating the contracts on their own, that they would be able to obtain that. We also teach that it's best value. What happens if there aren't a required number of quotes? We definitely think for all the questions that have ever been asked, we have laid out this instruction sheet to help them easily follow this. The concierge team also held training specific to our vendors and how they could obtain a GSA schedule. I'm pretty sure not many of you are aware that GSA now has a fast lane process for Schedule 70. Through our training and education, vendors have learned about the fast lane process to obtaining a schedule award and have been able to obtain that award within 45 days of application submission. So that has reduced an old 2-year process down to 45 days. We also teach in the class that vendors don't have to spend tens of thousands of dollars to get on a GSA schedule. A third party isn't required to help you get on a GSA schedule. So we teach those vendors how that process can be attained themselves. The concierge team, we just simply educated our vendors, and we contacted the contracting officers in Atlanta. We invited them to come to our first training, and now more than a year later, we have our own email established for Florida submissions and a partnership during our vendor trainings with Fastlane and a lot less confused vendors simply through education and outreach. That is all we did. So to date, Florida has trained over 120 vendors with the help of GSA and the Fastlane office. This is going to be our shameless plug right here. We do have a training coming up February 22nd. So if any of you out there know any vendors interested in learning more about GSA and how to get on the schedule, not every day you get to say you met a GSA contracting officer face-to-face. So definitely send them our way. We've already got 25 vendors registered and 35 state agency partners. Florida definitely plans to continue this contract education and outreach model to more of our contracts within state purchasing that are either being underutilized or are challenging for our agency partners to understand. Next, I just want to give a quick update on the success of the initiative from our original submission as of August 30th. Our hard work has led to increased agency GSA orders by 143%, which has increased agency spend on our contracts by approximately 141%, which equals an increase of $21 million. I don't know if you're like me, but that is a lot of math right there. You can see on the slide that we have almost tripled the spend on an underutilized contract just by simply educating and being available to our agencies and our vendors. As you can see on the slide, from FY 15-16 to FY 16-17, that jump is huge. And all we did differently was starting education and outreach initiative. During our trainings, we also teach our agencies how to use the e-buy system when requesting quotes from the GSA contracts and the usage, and that now is up over 99%. Next, we just want to show a few articles on the success that the federal government has highlighted. This first one came directly from the Atlanta office. It is published on the GSA site under most of their publications. We talk about our partnership, how it helps our agencies and our vendors. We talk about our resources that we have done to lay out and support those buyers and those vendors. We talk about our trainings, about our partnership with the GSA, which is simply a training partnership. And you can see there in the corner, this picture is GSA, all the representatives from GSA and DMS that came together to take a picture after one of our trainings. So if you want to put a face to a name, there you go. There's some of our DMS staff. Okay, our next article is our customer and stakeholder engagement. This came out of the Pensacola office with Todd Cook. This was more customer focused for the Pensacola office. It was talked about our challenge being that we have these contracts and we've got to get them utilized. They are an excellent tool. We just have to be able to teach it. We talk about our action, our solution, and of course the most important piece, our results. And then we've got a reference if anyone was looking to get more help from our DMS concierge service. All right. So in closing, I mentioned all these things to brag about how great our Sunshine State is, and you've got to love our spinning graphics. We tried really hard not to put any graphics in here, but that Spinning Florida was the winning one for sure. But in all honesty, educating our vendors and our customers, or rather our state agencies, should be our top priority. I strongly believe in life that we're only as good as that information we're given, and Florida strongly believes that knowledge is power, and have proven that a little education can speak volumes when it comes to the success of our procurement and our contracting processes. So on behalf of the state of Florida, Department of Management Services, thank you guys for your time today. And now we'll open it up to questions.
And just a friendly reminder, if you at this time, if you hit *6, you can unmute your line and ask questions. It looks like we have somebody typing in the chat box. And they said that this was an excellent resource.
Thank you.
All right, well, Nicole, I have a question for you. Is there anything that you would have done differently throughout this process from developing all the way to implementation?
You know, I have thought about this and what we would definitely have done differently. And I would definitely say one of our big questions that always comes up in training is, why aren't you guys training more of the state? We train specifically here in Tallahassee, but remember our state agencies are throughout our state. So definitely being able to have the ability to go train throughout the state and really help those who in our district offices might need more help and not just here in Tallahassee. So being able to really take our training on the road, I know that there's, you know, budget constraints and different things like that, but if we were able to really make our trainings mobile, I think it would definitely help and be a huge asset, I think, to our agencies.
Okay, that's interesting. That actually brings up another question that I had. Do you guys have any advice for states that may try to set up something similar like this? Kind of tails off the other question I asked. What advice would you have for states that are going to set up a similar program?
So one, definitely find people who aren't scared to talk in front of other people. That would be my first piece of advice. Second is just really being able to remember that we're here for our customers. That's why we have a job. We're here to train and educate, and if something becomes hard for our customers, and that's, you know, it's our job to make that more user-friendly. And I definitely think the way we have set up these trainings and this concierge service has been a huge asset to our state. And I think that if any other states needed help, I mean, call Florida. We're here. We'll help. But definitely try to remember that, you know, who your audience is, who you're giving the information to, and what information you're giving. And make sure that that team knows all of the information, that if there's a question that you can answer it, if, you know, we've got to hand walk someone through it, then that's what we're willing to do. So definitely find a really good team and make sure that, you know, that's the goal, that's the initiative, is teaching and educating and being able to set up something that is going to help anyone in your state. So, and making sure that information is available. Like I said, I know I kept definitely putting out there that we train not only our vendors but also our state agencies, because both sides end up talking. And so as long as each side has the correct information, then you've got a clear flow to the top. And I think that that is extremely important.
Excellent. Well, it looks like we have a couple questions in the chat box here. The first one is, what is the state of Florida's philosophy on using GSA schedules as opposed to conducting proprietary solicitations for items and or products covered by the schedules?
We here at the state have been given the authority through statute to use Schedule 84 and Schedule 70. I know not all states are set up like that. Those are the only two schedules we are allowed to use. And like we teach in training, if it doesn't have a cooperative purchasing icon, then the state of Florida cannot use it. So there are parameters to utilizing each of those schedules. In our IT-based systems, we teach in the trainings that once our agencies have got a clear scope of work, those go into our e-buy system. But all purchases are final and made through the state of Florida, My Florida accounting system. So that tool is used to reach that audience of all IT GSA schedule vendors. If we've got anything that, definitely is proprietary, then, it's each state agency's discretion as well. Whereas here we've laid out the tools and we've given them the authority document and the instructions document.
Excellent. Okay. Well, another question. What are the first steps for other state procurement offices who would like to implement this program? How much time is involved?
That's a really good question. Stephanie and I are kind of chuckling here in the office because it definitely does involve some time management, because this concierge piece is in addition to our daily work. Initially, we definitely put in on the front end quite a few hours with our website development, developing our training tools, getting those training spaces secure. I think if you got a team who is able to manage their contracts, you're able to do it within a 40-hour work week. I don't see why it would take any additional time than that. Our trainings happen, we've gotten our trainings down to half days, so our vendors come in from 8 to 1 or 8 to 12, and then our state agencies come in from 1 to 5. So we train in one day. We don't make extensive weeks out of it. We strictly train the material, and then we're able to easily access any state agencies here in Tallahassee and go to their offices, or if we're doing it over the phone, we definitely do that as well. So I think if you've got correct time management, it's an added bonus. So you're already within those contracts trying to make, the correct contacts, trying to get quarterly reports. This is just simply being available, making sure that you're teaching a tool that you're putting out there for your state agencies. So for us, it was just finding, the right tools to put out there, the right information, getting the right team together. But I don't think that this is a huge process that would, constitute someone working 80 hours a week. At first, it does pick up. It is very busy, but then, you find a balance. You're logging the calls, you're logging the emails, you're doing the trainings every quarter. But we also get our daily work done as well. We know that our number one focus is customer service, because that's why we're here. So it's part of our job description. So we've never seen it as something additional and above. It's just now something we have created a model for. I hope that made sense.
Yeah, I think that made sense. Do you guys have training samples or other or a website that can be shared?
Certainly. In our presentation, the link is live to our website, but we will definitely, we can give this presentation out, but also contact our email box or call us, and we're more than willing to email you the direct links. All of our training materials that we teach are on that website, so they can go there and download those PowerPoints. I would definitely say if you're thinking of implementing something like this for your contracts, is really look at the ones that are underutilized and figure out why. Is it something written within the language that they don't understand? Is it, why is the customer not using it? And then start from there. And that's, what we did with GSA. It's not essentially that we're specifically teaching GSA. It just happens that these two contracts were the underutilized ones, the ones that we knew our agency partners could get benefit out of if we just trained them, if we educated them on how to use them. So I think it's easily applicable to any contract and not specific just to GSA. So most of our material you'll see is GSA focused because those are the contracts we started with. But as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, Florida is starting to look at all contracts. Any of our contracts that are underutilized or contracts that we get lots of questions on that are keeping that contract manager from doing their daily job because they're constantly answering questions. They're constantly having to teach the vendor or, our state partners how to use that contract. So any of those, I think, start from, the problem areas and work forward. Figure out how to make that applicable in plain language so that anybody could use it. So really it's developing a training model that anyone's able to use, and anything that, can make using that contract easier. But certainly, you can use any of our training models. You can call us. We're here. We'll, like I said in our presentation, we get back to everyone within 24 hours. So reach out to us. We're more than happy to help for sure.
Awesome. Does Florida negotiate any additional terms and conditions, or do they rely on GSA terms and conditions?
The way the terms and conditions work, so once a vendor has agreed to that cooperative purchasing icon that we showed earlier, they are agreeing to the terms and conditions of that state agency. So once they have selected cooperative purchasing, which is in addition to their application, so if a vendor is going on to register and get a schedule, then they would definitely have to select that they would like to be a state and local cooperative purchasing partner. And within the scope of work, Florida, it's specific to each agency, so I can't really speak to each agency. But Florida has their own terms and conditions that we put within those purchase orders. And remember, we don't complete the purchase order in the e-buy system, which is the federal system. We complete it within our My Florida Marketplace system, which is mandatory by statute, and it comes along with terms and conditions. So they're agreeing to Florida's terms and conditions.
Excellent. Thank you. How many people do you have on your team, and how long has your team been established?
That is an excellent question. Props to whoever asked it. So we have 3 people on the team. I know you might think it's a giant team, but it is not. We are small. So it's myself, I lead the team, and then we have Stephanie Weiland, who has also been on the team. And we have Jeremy Williams, who is on the team, and we just got a new member here recently, so I guess I should say 4. She's still training, Lanika Williams. So our team is really small. It's not huge. Between the 3 of us, someone is always in the office. We always try to, like I said, answer those emails, answer those phone calls. And believe it or not, our team has only been around since December of 2016. So we've been able to do this all under 2 years. Our first training, we were given about 2 weeks and said, we need this training to be done and developed and a new one on the street as soon as possible. And so the team and I got to work, and we really just from there have developed it as we go along. We have our main slides that we teach, and it helps that we know the contract. So I think if you know your material, it makes training that much easier. So that was one of our first steps, was to know our material inside out. and then start developing our training. So we've only been around since 2016, but we're hoping that we can stick around for a lot longer with incorporating those other contracts and definitely expanding our reach here in state purchasing.
All right, does anybody have any more questions? These are great questions. Okay, well, we'll start to wrap it up then. Thank you all for joining us today, and a special thanks to you, Nicole, and to the team, and to the state of Florida for a great presentation.
Thank you, guys.
For everyone that attended, remember to email me, Kevin Miner, at kminer@naspo.org if you'd like to receive certification credit for attending this webinar today. I will be posting this recording for the webinar to NASPO YouTube channel in the next couple of days, just as a reminder, for those that would like to share it with colleagues and other people who are not able to attend. If you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out to me directly. Thank you all for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, guys.